Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I hope you're having a lovely day. I don't know if you saw or not, but I posted a link yesterday of a video clip from the House of Parliament that came up, and I'm just getting around to responding to it now. And you're probably having already saw it on several other social media posts, but I thought I'd come in and give a little chat about it because there's not too many things these days that pop up on my social media that makes me what in the holy colonized Colonel Custard is going on here. So, if you're not aware, the illustrious member of parliament for Haliburton in Ontario, I believe, Jamie Schmale, anyway, tabled a bill, piece of legislation, E6605, and it was put forward by one of his constituents, who I have no idea who this is either, Joanne Green. It had 1,100 signatures on it. And what it was is they want to pass a piece of legislation or work towards creating a piece of legislation that would apply penalties against identity fraud for First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Now, identity fraud, of course, is an ongoing discussion in a lot of circles. Largely, though, for me, it seems contained to people who are applying to programs and or services offered. So whether that's a bursary, a grant, an award, and they misrepresent in some way their identity. Now, I'm going to tell you, for me, this has been a long, hard battle fought by most First Nations communities to keep the government out of the identity game. It is largely the communities that determine who and who is not part of their communities. I mean, even part of the Métis motto is the people who know themselves and have a strict criteria for who cannot apply for membership within these organizations. First Nations communities as well, the Inuit as well, have fairly tight circles about who is and who is not. And then on top of that, the federal government, when it comes to First Nations communities, are also involved in that, of course, with all kinds of different things from health benefits to band members and checks and bursaries and those kinds of things. So, how the federal government would regulate or be asked to regulate identity fraud, where their jurisdiction would start and stop, what other amendments to this bill they've asked for, I don't know. I'd like to get my hands on it. I'm not super familiar with the process of how, but I am telling you that kind of frosts my cookies and chars my bannock, but that's where it's at. Why 1,100 people from this jurisdiction would ask the federal government to get involved in this? I mean, we have so many different things right from the United Nations down, from UNDRIP, talking about how it is up to the communities to determine who and who is not part of their members. Now, if we're talking about fraud, as in scamming the system, as I stated in a previous episode, when it comes to the Métis people alone, just as an example, there are 600,000 self-identifying Métis people in Canada. Only 180,000 or so are part of an organization that gets any funding whatsoever. And those organizations have very strict membership criteria. So I'm not sure who would be scamming those organizations and frauding their way in there. And if they were, wouldn't that be on the organizations to weed that out, not the federal government? And if you're a First Nations community, don't you know who is and isn't part of your community, who is and isn't a member, and who would be or wouldn't be trying to scam or fraud the system? Asking the federal government into this space seems very erroneous. Anyway, I'll take a minute. I'm going to let you watch the video. You tell me what you think, and then we'll come back at it.
Presenting petitions, the Honourable Member for Haliburton, North Lakes.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to table petition E6605, created by a constituent in my riding, Miss Joanne Green from Haliburton County. The 1,100 signatories would like to bring attention to the issue of Indigenous identity fraud. They would like the government to take action to ensure that there is legislation addressing First Nations, Métis, and Inuit identity fraud with clear definitions, mechanisms for enforcement, and legal penalties for those taking advantage. They list a number of other actions they'd like to see the House take as well, and I'd like to table this as a result. Thank you, Speaker.
Presenting
All right, so that was the clip. That's the member. That's the bill as they presented. As I said, there's other amendments on there that weren't disclosed. I haven't got my hands on it. I would like to get my hands on it. I think that would be interesting. I think it would be wonderful to start a counter petition to this. It shouldn't be hard to get 1,100 signatures to align this more in a concept of what other hard-won pieces of legislation, like I said, from UNDRIP to many other things that have gone on to make sure that who is a member and who is not a member stays within the community. If you are a more legal savvy person than me, hit me up. I'd love to start a petition, see how far we can get with it, see how fast we can get 1,100 signatures to submit. If you know this member of parliament and you'd like to counter that, by all means, I'm sure he has a number. Call it or call your member and, express your displeasure with that. Anyway, that's what I had for today. Like I said, kind of a fun one, kind of crazy that anybody would ask the federal government into this space at all. But there you are. Have a great rest of your day. And until next time, keep the shiny side up. The Jig is Up is made possible in part by the Métis Federation of Canada, uniting Métis people from coast to coast to coast.